Good morning, fellow Ambazonians. Today, na Thursday, number 26 days for the month of January 2023. My name na Capo Daniel. I am the Deputy Defense Chief and the Anti-Kidnapping Czar of the Ambazonian Defense Forces and the spokesperson of the Ambazonian Governing Council, aka Sense Pass King, una own countryman. Una welcome to our daily podcast, a program who will bring una the truth, meaningful information, fact-based analysis for help we as we waka for this journey to our freedom, the independence of Ambazonia. Fellow good people of Ambazonia, today for this episode, we'll take a look into the eyes of the beast, a second look at La Republique Du Cameroun. For the past week, hopes for justice and peace for Ambazonia within the war between Ambazonia and La Republique Du Cameroun, it can be deflected by La Republique Du Cameroun announcement. So they no be saying any person make it go negotiate for make a commitment for Canada with the Ambazonian bloc of leaders where they be attend the Ambazonian Cameroon Canada negotiation process for Canada. After the Canada government, it become make announcement say La Republique Du Cameroun, their government, and the leaders for the main Ambazonian movement they be not enter into an agreement for start formal negotiation on how for end the war for Ambazonian liberation through a negotiation process. Hopes for justice and peace it be passed for inside Ambazonia with a lot of celebration and the euphoria. It be captured the international community as even the Pope himself he be come out for applaud this initiative, and many peace lovers for inside Ambazonia and for La Republique they be all rejoice say finally there is a chance say instead for fight war they kill each other, both sides they go fish down for negotiate on the truth of the matter and for find a solution for the question of Ambazonia the independent and Cameroon their challenge to Ambazonia. After the announcement by Canada government, there was a message that calls for rectification from the Ambazonian leadership of Dr. Chua Yaba and also for that of John Ba Okoro. The Canadian government be make an amendment with their ambassador for the United Nations coming out to clarify that this commitment to negotiate was made between the state of Cameroon and the territory of the former British Southern Cameroons. This change of language also bring a lot of debate after the Ambazonian leadership where it lead the international effort for champion the interests of our country and for represent Ambazonia, the leadership of the Ambazonian Governing Council, the AGOFC, the APLM, the IG CARE, and the AC. Them also release a joint statement where all the leaders for this movement sign them for also welcome the announcement of a commitment from both sides, also stating their position and for give their readiness to get into this process without a precondition and to advocate for the independence and only the independence of Ambazonia. While this historic announcement it will be welcomed with enthusiasm, even before this enthusiasm was deflated by Rene Sadi, you also have Ambazonia having a look and questioning why will their territory be called the former British Southern Cameroon? Why will the word former be attached to the name British Southern Cameroon? Well, the explanation can be simple. Former means it is something that was in the past. That means that the name British Southern Cameroon is an old name, an ancient name that is not being formally used anymore. British Southern Cameroon is only a reference, a name that is used to describe that territory, which is today called Ambazonia by the people who are fighting for independence of that country. And that should inform the Ambazonian public and those who keep on using a formal name to describe a current territory which has been designated as Ambazonia by the indigenous people of that homeland. Nevertheless, they hope for justice and peace. They hope for a stop of hostility They hope for the stop of the killing of our people mercilessly by La Republique Du Cameroun and creating the chaos of war within our territory was soon to be deflated by René Sadi, the Minister of Information of La Republique du Cameroun. For one interview for Prime News, Prime Hour, for Prime TV, Felix Agbobala, one of the Ambazonians and waiting day for Ground Zero, he come out for give a detailed account and engagement of which will happen for that channel. I go one make una also hear from him out.
Relationship with Canada, and historically we are the bilingual countries that speak French and English, a wonderful relationship with Canada. So it was just logical. I think that government felt they were more comfortable to get Canada involved. The non-state armed groups also felt Canada was a comfortable country for them to get into a peace arrangement with them. And that's why they were having these meetings. That's why they kept it confidential. That's why they did not divulge the content of the meeting to the press. Prior to the announcement from the Canadian foreign minister, nobody that attended the meeting or the meetings had at least divulged the conversations to the press. Yeah, but it goes to show the tension, the infighting in the government, because a government that is united will not be sending mixed signals. That's my initial reading of what is happening in this ping pong between Canada and the state of Cameroon. The announcement clearly said that Canada was willing to involve in a mediation process. That's what it said. But it went beyond that. You know, the announcement also was expressed that they had the consent of both parties and that both parties were interested in moving forward. You know, I don't think Canada just came out of the blues. I don't think Canada just made this announcement because they were interested without being duly briefed by both parties or the state to get involved in a kind of mediation to find a long-lasting solution. Don't forget that our relationship with Canada we've had a long relationship with Canada, was dictating. I was not privy to these meetings, but I think also for them insisting that the name should be changed is probably what had been agreed in the meetings. You understand? So let us also try to give them benefit of that. And notwithstanding that, for the sake of argument, let's assume that that was not what was agreed. I don't think that the communique from Dr. Choayaba that the language or the name should be changed would pose a problem that government would dissociate themselves with a meeting that they were party. And Mr. Liu, the thing is that there's something we call in law similar fact evidence, okay? The government has a pattern. I'll just give you an example. It is a pattern for them, you know, chickening out. It's a pattern for them. Yeah, but Barrister, you can't say that. It is a pattern. What is the clear evidence that government had given its word to moving on with this process? So I'm just giving you an example of a meeting that the guy of external research, the DGIA, was there, and other people. And the same government said, we did not send anybody to talk, or we are not talking to anybody in jail, which is clearly false because they were talking to in jail. This meeting in Canada, the meetings took place thrice, October, November, December, twice in Quebec and one in Toronto. I can't remember the dates, but I have the dates written somewhere. The people who left this country and went to the meeting, ticket was bought by government. If you get these people and you check their passports, you will see that on these dates, they flew to Canada for a meeting. There was an agreement in that discussion. Okay? This thing was piloted by the Prime Minister with the consent of the head of state of this country, because the Prime Minister will not involve in such discussions without running it through the head of state. And then all of a sudden, Canada issues a statement. There is euphoria. Then the hawks in the regime those who don't want to see things work, those who are trying to flex their muscle. Because don't forget also, this thing goes beyond just what is happening in the southwest and the northwest region. This thing also is power play. Who is in control? I need to cover my territory. I need to show that I'm the one who has power. This is what is happening. So for them today to say they're not in any negotiation is the height of dishonesty. And I would go beyond. It's like the apogee of political, kind of dishonesty that it flies in the face of logic for them to say they did not. Because it's clear.
It flies in the face of logic. The one way Agbobala it talk for inside their media prime. Say wait La Republique it don't demonstrate them. It don't defy logic. According to Felice Agbobala, the Cameroon government delegation them, where they be go for Canada, they be approved by La Republique their government, their air ticket them, they be buy by La Republique their government, the Prime Minister for La Republique du Cameroun, it be directly involved, it be get authorization from President Paul Biya of La Republique du Cameroun, the chief terrorist where they butcher our people them. ESSF it will be involved, it will give you approval for Ambazonia and them for consider this matter, the need for all look into the eyes of the beast. Look into the hell where would face them. La Republique du Cameroun, a country where the government official them, not be one time, not be two time. The first one we been a meeting with Ayok Tabi for inside Catholic Church, a thing where people they be witness some, they be come up for day with pictures. La Republique du Cameroun, their minister come out talk say nothing, it no be happen for day. They no talk say they be some their officer the way they be go there without consent. They simply talk say it never happened. This time, their prime minister be involved, their president be involved, according to the information the way it be outside there. But yet, a minister of communication be capable for talk say nothing ever happened with authorization in their government. What are we seeing? We are seeing a divided government. Take imagination of which we mean. So the president and the prime minister then be override by somebody who is a minister of communication. What type of a country is that? It is more than a shithole like Donald Trump maybe described them. This is the pit of hell. What type of a person could have a hope that a government whose president and prime ministers can be written by a spokesperson? This can tell you the abyss we are facing. What type of a person will be able to stand forth in Ambazonia tomorrow to say they want to become an enabler to a divided government who do not know a head and a tail? Any Ambazonian who will be collaborating with Cameroon in this state, knowing that you are not doing any honorable duty to any government, you are working for a divided gang of the Bulu Beti who have no head, who have no tail, a group of butchers, vampires, leviathans, the worst sort of human beings that exist. This is something the world have never seen. A country that have no description. Anything, anyhow. They are just beasts, animals, a grinding machine to destroy humanity. If before it was a crime to represent this colonial government, anybody who represents them or who come to Ambazonia in the name of an election to represent a confused state can have no rationale. A country who do not even have an opposition. The opposition have no voice. One would have expected that when major elections are announced, the so-called opposition party within the country will come out and speak and demand that how come elections will be announced less than 3 months before the election date. No time to campaign, no time to register vote. This is to tell you that it is all a sham. It is all fake. Cameroon as a nation do not exist. Cameroon as a state do not exist. These are just animals, killers, murderers. They don't have no leader. They don't have no rule. They don't have no principle. They don't have no law. They don't have no protocol. It is a shame. It is a disgrace. It is a blood-sucking money machine that have no honor or dignity. These are people who ate money meant for solving a pandemic that put everybody's life at risk. These are people who chop broke pot. These are people with no dignity, no honor. If there was any reason for us to separate ourselves from this country, taking a look at the abyss we face, being a third-class citizen for a demon, a third-class citizen for a vampire, Ambazonians should run away from La Republique as fast as possible, as far away as possible, to save their own life. And anybody who come to Ambazonia trying to represent Cameroon, who are they going to be representing? Paul Biya, Diongote, or the René Sadi, Ferdinand Gongo, the vampires of Yaoundé? Who are they going to be representing? They are just going to be paid agents coming there because they have been paid. Paid by who? We don't know. Working for who? We don't know. A country with no parliament, no senate, no opposition, no court. If Mazi Nnamdi Kanu called Nigeria a zoo, Cameroon is not just a zoo. Neither is it just a comedy country. Cameroon is a pit of hell. It's hell itself on earth. It's something every Ambazonia should run away from. Ambazonia should pick up arms themselves, dissociate themselves from this government. Anyone who is a Cameroon government teacher or Cameroon government worker, you should look at the mirror and say, shame to yourself. Shame to yourself. There is no honor there. There is no glory. There is no respect. You have to leave. It's time to come home. We must arm ourselves. We must support the movement for liberation of Ambazonia. Our people must come back home. Those who are working for the colonial administration should realize that they have been working for a scam. They have been just pundit to a colonially set state that was meant just to exploit the African resources. Ambazonia is just a victim. And if you were there thinking you are working for a government, you were not working for a government, you were just a hired pundit to fill a space to justify the exploitation of resources in that country. Ambazonia must look within. We must rebuild the walls of our own Jerusalem. We must rebuild the wall of our own administration as we have been doing with the Ambazonian Liberation Transitional Authority in Ground Zero. See you on Saturday for our fundraiser. Stay fast, stay true, and buy more guns to help the resistance. God bless you all. Capo Daniel, signing off.